Welcome to day 9 of the Crown of Thorns Novena, and today is the Glorious Mysteries. And I'm your host or guide in some moving reflection. First of all, I'm wearing a crown that I made in a women's circle many years ago, and feel somehow just the physical presence of this is a reflection of this mystery. And I've been really struck by some of the earlier reflections, like Grace talking about the unintended paradox of nature, where we have the hard outer shell of the walnut that is protective of the juicy meat inside, or the fact that thorns protect the rest of the roses. And so I just love this unintentional paradox that this is nature. And then I appreciate what Faye was saying about neurospiciousness, about appreciating her own neurospiciousness and toning down that inner dialogue that echoes Empire's message, that punishes our nonconformity, our originality, and our thinking outside the box. So often, dancing through these mysteries, the sorrowful are just purely sorrowful, and yet there's a paradox and there's a flip side, just like in some of the other mysteries. In the joyful, for instance, there is the sword that'll pierce your heart. So if we just go into the literalness, we can't often find some of the more juicy bits. So in this movement reflection, I would like us to, play with that paradox of here is our crown. This is how we enter life through our mother's wombs. Yes, there are breech births and there are footling births, and some people come out differently, but there's a pretty high percentage of the crown coming out through our mother's womb into this incarnation. And so when we're in this middle mystery of this is the crown of thorns, what does that do to our embodiment? Does it try to deny our embodiment in this earth, trying to mock that embodiment? Or is it just trying to give us a way to think outside of the box and move in a different way? So what if we feel, say, the weightedness of a crown? How do we move around that weightedness of the crown? So I'm sitting on my ball, and I'm really aware of that crown that I'm wearing, and what does it do to my spine? Can I feel elongation, or can I feel a pressing down or a pressing up? So perhaps this is, when a baby is coming through the womb, there is a pressure and a press with the head. And so what if we play with that pressure of somebody places this crown of thorns on us? How do we carry this? Can we find the dance that can come out of wearing this crown? Can we feel that push and pull of the paradox of this mystery? Who do we really want to be in this lifetime? Do we want to allow the mocking, or as Faye so beautifully put it, not allowing our originality and our thinking outside of the box. There have been so many beautiful reflections of this mystery, and there was one also about that Jesus was warning us of empire and those trying to force us into a box. So how do we can absolutely shape this box of how we're supposed to fit in. That's an interesting exploration, to shape a box of how we're supposed to fit in. And then just notice, how do we really want to move to perhaps come out of the box, to find our originality. And then at the same time, maybe there are people we don't want to share this with, so maybe we put on our crown and put on our little box to give us that protection that was so beautifully described in Grace's reflection. That we have boundaries, that we have protection. So perhaps there's something about this protectiveness, and then our allowance for what's our originality, what's our original movement signature, what's our original embodiment in this lifetime. So we have both. We can bring in our boundaries, protect our box, have a real organized way of presenting ourselves, and then we can have those moments where we can really bring out our originality. And so perhaps that is the theme of this mystery, is how do we deal with others trying to help us conform, and where we maybe need to have that box, and where we can really expose and express our originality. And because it is the glorious mysteries, and we really embrace that crowning in gloriousness. And thank you for indulging me in this exploration of the crown of thorns. Many blessings for your day, or evening, or morning, or night.